Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Unfortunately, since our session was cut short, I'm going to go ahead and record a video for the session. Right before we got cut off in our session, we did our warm up, so I'm just going to quickly go over these questions. For number one, how many solutions does absolute value 2x plus 5 equal 0? Well, if we try to split this up into two, remember 0 is neither negative or positive. So 2x plus 5 equals 0. 2x plus 5 equal negative 0, which is 0. Essentially, you will just get one answer. So the answer is C. Okay, so there's only one point that is zero distance, that's the absolute value is 0, and that would be probably negative 5 over 2. How many solutions equals negative? Well, remember the definition of absolute value. If you put something in an absolute value, it spits out the positive version of it. So no matter what number you put in an absolute value, you get a positive number. So an absolute value can never be equal to a negative, neither can it be less than a negative. It can never be a negative number. So this is a no solution. So an absolute value can never be less than a negative. So this is no solution as well. Absolute value equals 3. Well, this is the one that you are used to. You would split this problem and solve one exactly the way it looks. The other one with a negative version after the equal sign, so take the opposite of what it equals. So this will give you two solutions. And greater than 3, this will be many solution. You can prove this by actually solving it and graphing it in the number line. There's many solutions, infinitely many solutions. Okay, let's go to the next slide. This is a summary of what's you're gonna be working on this week. This does not include everything, but you are going to be taking a topic test, and you're going to be working on solving equation and lateral equations. The objective: solving graph absolute value equations and inequality. Translate written statements into equation and solve them. Solve multi-step equation and literal equations. My goal is to prepare you for your topic tests and also to help you learn how to solve multi-step equations and literal equations. My goal is always to get you through the week. So to introduce everything that you are going to encounter this week. Here's a question. The length of a rectangle is 3 centimeters more than its width. If the perimeter of the rectangle is 22 centimeters, what is the area of the rectangle in square centimeters? Okay, so for this guy, I advise you to draw a picture. So I'm going to draw a picture of a rectangle. It's not going to be pretty, but here is my rectangle. Something like that. Okay, so label your sides. It says the length of a rectangle is 3 centimeters more than its width. So if I call this my width, 3 centimeters more is W plus 3. The perimeter is 22 centimeters. Okay, so you have to remember what perimeter means. Remember, perimeter is the distance around the object, so all of the side added up. So together I have 4 W's, combine like terms. 4w plus 6, 3 plus 3 is 6, represents the perimeter, 22. I solve for w equals 16, so w, divide both sides by 4, equals 4. Now the question is asking, go back to the question, make sure you answer the question. What is the area of the rectangle? Well, w is 4, so the length is 4 plus 3, which is 7. The question asks for area. Remember, area is the length times the width, which is 4 times 7, which is 28 centimeters squared. Which inequality does not have the solution of this? Okay, you look at your answer choices. First, I'm going to do the first one. So that, remember, the first thing you do is split the inequality. 1 gets exactly what you have. 3 minus 2x is greater than 15. The other one, switch the inequality, switch the sign. And then solve, subtract 3 on both sides of the inequality. Divide by a negative 2 on both sides of the inequality. So x is less than 6. And this is positive 12. So this is negative 6. Sorry about that. Subtract 3 on both sides. So negative 2x less than negative 18. Divide both sides by negative 2. Remember, when you divide by a negative, it flips your inequality. So this is the answer to the first one. Let's kind of analyze this. This is telling you which one does not have it. So it's not A, because A has that solution. B, by the commutative property of addition, notice that B, all I have to do is switch positions of 3 and negative 2x. B is the same thing as A. Okay? On this one, if you rewrite this as negative 2x plus 3 is greater than, since 15 is less than that, that means that it is greater than 15. Notice how this and this and this are saying the same exact thing. So C should be the answer. I want you to prove it by actually doing C and showing that x is not less than 6 or that x is not greater than 9. Okay, so you have the task of proving that D is the right answer. 30 is 3 times the difference between a number and 7. Find the number. I'm going to write this as an equation. So 30, remember, is equal to, so 30 is 3 times the difference between a number and 7. So if you get the difference between a number and 7 and you times it by 3, you get 30. There's different ways of solving this. Some of you would distribute. I'm going to just divide out the 3. So do this whatever way works for you. You can distribute the 3 into the n and the negative 7 and then solve. I'm just going to do this different than a lot of you would do it, okay? Because I can. N minus 7 equals 10. Add 7, add 7. N equals 17. 30 is 3 times the difference between a number and 7. So let's check that. Our number is 7. Difference between a number and 7 is 10. 3 times that is 30. Cool. Voila. Solve the inequality. Okay, so we didn't do this last time. Before you split your inequality, the first thing you want to do is you want to isolate the inequality. So pretend this is a big X. Pretend this inequality right here is a big variable. So first things first is I'm going to get that variable by itself. I'm going to subtract 5 on both sides. And this is negative 2 inequality x minus 2. And divide both sides by 2. So this is absolute value x minus 2 equals negative 1. Well, we could actually stop right there. Okay, so usually you isolate and then you split. However, this is a false statement. An absolute value can never be equal to a negative number, so you don't even have to go any further. This is no solution. Otherwise, you will split this and continue. Compare and contrast. What is the difference between these two things? Okay, remember I told you if you isolate your absolute value and it tells you it's greater than something that's valid, then this is going to be an OR statement. And if it's less than something, it's an AND statement. Well, let's prove that. This is already isolated, so I can split it. So I have 2x minus 5 equals 21. Add 5 to both sides. So 2x is equal to 26. Oh, greater than. Sorry, this is an inequality. Greater than. 2x is greater than 26. Divide both sides by 2. Your variable is greater than 13. On the other side, you do the same thing, but now you flip the sign and flip the sign. Flip the inequality, flip the sign. Plus 6 plus 6 plus 5 plus 5. Can you tell I got very little sleep? So this is 2x is less than negative 2 plus 5 is 3. Okay? Then divide both sides by 2. Wow, I'm making so much mistakes. This is 21 and not 2. So 21 plus 5 is negative 16. Different signs you subtract. Divide both sides by 2. X is less than negative 8. Okay, so let's look at what that looks like. So let me check my work. 2x minus 5 is change the inequality, change the sign, negative 21. Add 5 to both sides, 2x is less than negative 6. Divide by 2 on both sides, so x is less than negative 8. Okay, let's look at what that looks like graphically. Let's say this is our negative 18, and let's say this is our positive 13. This is strictly negative 8, not negative 18. Strictly less than 13 means I have a hole right here, and I'm going greater than, strictly greater than 13. I'm a little under the weather today. And less than 8, so there's a hole under negative 8, because it's strictly less than, arrow this way. This is why it's an OR statement, because it's either or. It's either going to be less than 8 or greater than 13. As opposed to this guy, I'm going to do this really quick. Split it, 2x minus 5 is less than 21. 2x minus 5 is greater than negative 21. Add 5 to both sides. 2x is less than 26. Divide both sides by 2. X is less than 13. Plus 5 plus 5. 2x is greater than negative 16. Divide both sides by 2. X is greater than negative 8. Graphically, again, here's my negative 8. Here's my 13. Less than 13, strictly less than, so hold on 13. Greater than 8, they are coming towards each other. So this is the in-between symbol. X is, so it's this and that, so X is between 13 and negative 8. So the difference is the difference in how they're going. Again, like I told you, if you isolate the absolute value and it tells you something that's possible, an absolute value can be greater than 21. If it's greater than, it's going to give you an or statement. And if you start out with a less than, it's going to give you an and statement, which will end up being an in-between statement. So this and this can coexist. They can happen at the same time. X will be greater than negative 8 and less than negative 13. Okay. Let's make sure I have my whole screen here being recorded. Okay, let's move on. The sum of 3 consecutive even integers is 8 more than twice the largest integer. What is the 3 integers? Let's talk about what it means to be consecutive even. So, first even integer, positive even integer, is 2. To get the next one, 4, 6. So to go from one to the other, you're adding 2 to the previous one. So if we don't know the first one, we can call it the variable x. So the second one, to get to the next one, is just 2 plus 2 is 4, x plus 2. Each time you're adding an additional 2. The next one is x plus 2 plus 2, which is x plus 4. X plus 4. Sum means to add. So the sum of those things, x plus 2 plus x plus 4, is, means equal, eight more than twice. 8 more than twice the largest integer. So here's my largest integer, x plus 4. So do this slowly and try to translate what you're reading into algebra. On each side, you combine like terms. So this is 3x plus 6 equals, I'm going to distribute this to 2x plus 8 plus another 8. So this is 3x plus 6, combine like terms, 2x plus 16. I'm going to subtract 2x on both sides, and I get x plus 6 is equal to 16. And then I'm going to subtract 6. So my variable is equal to 10. Okay, so my variable x is equal to 10. What are the numbers? The first one is 10. The second one is 10. Second one is 10 plus 2, 12. Then the next one is 12 plus another 2, or x plus 4. 10 plus 4 is 14. 10, 12, and 14. Feel free to check that Here are some common words when setting up equations. Sum, more than, plus means adding. Difference, less than, minus means subtraction. Product times quotient divided by is equal to. Now, don't confuse this with the word is less than. So if you see is in front of something, is either going to be an equal to or an inequality. So is less than should not be confused by strictly less than. Is less than is the less than symbol, or if is more than or equal is greater than or equal. So if you see this is in front of the more than or less than, that will tell you that is some kind of equality, an inequality or an equality. Okay, so we're gonna do an example of solving multi-step equation. So I want you to solve, we're gonna solve this equation. 3x plus 3 for x minus 5 equals 15x minus 24. Okay, start from the inside and go out. So I'm going to distribute this 3. So this is 12x minus 15. Okay, keep everything else. That allows me to drop that innermost parentheses. Okay, so combine like terms. So this is 13x minus 15 parentheses 3 equals 15x minus 24. Distribute again. 39x minus 45 equals 15x minus 24. Subtract 15x on both sides to solve. So this is 24x minus 45 is equal to negative 24. Add 45 to both sides. Okay, so this is 24x is equal to 21. Divide both sides. X equals, I can simplify it. 3 goes into 21 7 times. 3 goes into 24 8 times. I'm going to go back and check my work. 3 times 4 is 12. 3 times negative 5 is negative 15. Okay, combine. That helps me drop that innermost parentheses because that's what I distributed. Combine like terms. X plus 12x is 13x minus 15. Bring this down because I didn't do anything to it. Distribute the 3. Negative 13x times 3 is positive 13x times 3 is 39 minus 45. Keep this on the right side. Subtract 15 on both sides to get rid of it, to make it a 0 on the right. Okay, and 24 minus 45 equals to negative 24. So add 45 to make this a 0 equals 21. 24x equals 21, and then divide both sides by 24 and simplify. 3 goes into both of them. Okay, and this is my final answer. It told me to solve. I solved. There you go. Okay, so we're going to skip your try. Actually, you can try this one. Okay, take a minute to try this one. 1/3 x minus 2 is equal to, let's call that 1/5. Let me see if I can undo so you don't get confused. don't know if I can undo. No, I can't undo that. Okay. Just so you don't get confused. Eraser. There you go. Okay. Okay. Equals 1/5 x plus 4 plus 2. There's different ways to do this one. I'm going to teach you this way. You could obviously distribute the fractions, but since I'm dealing with fractions, I'm going to go ahead and multiply this with the least common multiple. I'm going to multiply this by 15. Okay, so this whole thing goes together. So we're multiplying 15 to this whole thing. Okay, so essentially what you're doing is 15 times 1/3 times x minus 2 by the associative property. I can choose how I multiply. So by the associative property, I'm going to go ahead and do this first. I'm going to So by the associative property, I'm going to choose, remember it allows you to choose which one you do first. So I'm going to multiply 15 and 1/3, and that gives me 5. And then 15 and this guy, well, this is like saying 15 times 1/5 times x plus 4. And then I have to do it also because this is separated by a plus or minus. So I have to do this guy too. Plus 2 times 15. So I'll do these two by the associative property. I'm going to associate these two and do that first, which will give me 3x plus 4. And then 2 times 15 is 30. I know some of you will have questions on this, so please, you can go ahead and ask. If I get a lot of requests on this, we can do a group tutorial session once Blackboard is fixed. Okay, now I've gotten rid of my fraction. How did I know what to multiply and what not to multiply? Okay, well, this come in set because they are multiplied together, so they come in set. The equal to separated it to the other side, so this also came in a set, and this set is by itself, separated by a plus. So that's how I chose the three things to multiply. I'm multiplying 15 on both sides of my equation, so that's valid. Okay, so once I've done that, gotten rid of my fraction, most of you are familiar with things like this. I'm going to distribute the 5 on the left. So this is 5x minus 10 equals, the close parentheses ends that one, 3x plus 12, the close parentheses ends it, and I'll drop down this plus 30. I'm going to combine like terms. This is 42 because they are on the same side of the equal sign, equals 5x minus 10. I'm going to subtract 3x on both sides. So this is 2x minus 10 equals 42. Add 10 to both sides. 2x equals 52. Divide both sides by 2. So your variable equals 26. There you go. Literal equation is when you have any kind of equation, but for this section it's mostly a lot of variables and they ask you to solve for other things. So for example, let's say you have x equals c plus mc. And the first thing I want you to do is I want you to solve for m. So what you want to do is whatever you're solving for is the king. This is my king m. I want to get it alone. Well, to get it alone, first I can subtract c on both sides, just like you would do with numbers. So this is s minus c equals mc. And then divide both sides by c. So m is equal to s minus c over c. Let's say I asked you to solve for c. Well, I could try to subtract mc on both sides, but that creates an issue because now c will be on both sides and I want c by itself. So the first thing I want to do is I'm going to put this c together by factoring it out. Taking out a c, I would have 1 left here because 1 times c is c. If I were to go backwards and distribute, I will get back c plus m. Since m times c is mc, I factored that out. And then to get c alone, I just divide by that 1 plus m on both sides. So c equals s over 1 plus m. So again, you figure out where your king is if you have to make your king together by combining like terms or factoring. Since these don't have numbers, c and mc, you cannot really combine. So if you factor it, it will tell you that it's c times 1 plus m, and then divide it out and get c by itself. I hope this is helpful, and thank you to those of you who came to live session. I will see you next week or during tutorial.